Hi, this is your host. This is a production by a media company. As we hurtle towards the edge of the climate crisis, we're seeing more and more weather records get broken. Wildfires that burn longer and hotter, floods that come and go with terrifying speed, and droughts that stretch on for years. But while these extreme events might be bad news for us humans, animals are constantly adapting to change. And some creatures have not just survived one extreme or the other, but both, thriving in the fiery aftermath, and also when the rains come back with a vengeance. So here are 4 incredible animals that survive fire and flood, putting them at the very edge of the climate. While some species of turtle, snake, and frog have also learned to tolerate fire, the American alligator is one of the few large reptiles that also thrives in floodplain environments. Today they live across the southeastern United States, especially in Florida, where they prefer slow-moving or still waters like marshes and swamps. Even though American alligators have lived alongside humans for thousands of years and have developed a surprising tolerance for human presence, their numbers plummeted in the early 20th century due to hunting, habitat destruction, and pollution. Thankfully, thanks to conservation efforts, they've made a comeback. But now climate change is threatening their survival once again. And it's no wonder why. Without bees, we wouldn't have many of the fruits, vegetables, and nuts that we love to eat. What these creatures can teach us is the importance of adaptability. You can read all about a bizarre animal that survived a nuclear blast or watch a video about the cutest monkey you've ever seen. Thanks for coming along on this journey to the edge of climate. I've been your host. This has been a production by a media company. Their skills might not help us survive an intense wildfire or a flash flood, but they can help us predict how species will respond to climate change and inspire us to take action before it is too late. Not only are bees facing threats from pesticides and disease, but climate change is also making it harder for them to find food. As temperatures rise, plants flower earlier in the spring, but bees need a certain amount of cool weather to wake up and get going. So if they emerge from their winter slumber and the plants haven't flowered yet, bees might starve before they can collect any pollen. On top of that, hot, dry conditions can decimate bee colonies. Bees need to maintain a constant temperature inside their hives to keep their young from freezing or overheating. During a drought, bees expend precious energy reserves keeping their hives warm, which leaves them little energy to forage for food. If the drought continues, the colony will eventually die off. Some species of bee are doing their best to adapt to the changing climate by altering their foraging times or moving to new habitats. But so far, nothing can overcome colony collapse disorder, a mysterious phenomenon that causes worker bees to suddenly abandon their hives and the colony to collapse. Scientists think climate change could be one of the factors contributing to colony collapse disorder, but we'll have to do more research to figure that out. For now, all we can say is that things aren't looking sweet for bees in a warming world. The problem is that many of their favorite wetland habitats depend on rain and snowmelt that is becoming increasingly unpredictable. Some years bring epic floods while others bring terrible droughts. But the American alligator has a few tricks up its scaly sleeves to survive these wild swings. As flood season approaches, these cold-blooded reptiles start moving towards higher ground. Then when the rains come, they use their powerful tails to dig new channels through the floodwaters, helping them reach their homes faster. Once there, they wait out the flood until the water recedes. If they're feeling particularly adventurous, they'll lay low in trees or climb onto mounds of sticks and vegetation. These ambushed predators wait for prey like fish and frogs to wander too close, then snatch them up for a tasty meal. If you want to see an American alligator out of water, this is how you do it. Chapter 1: Kangaroos and Fire. Red kangaroos are the largest of 5 kangaroo species found only in Australia. They run as fast as they can in the opposite direction, often abandoning their usual home ranges and heading for greener pastures. This can lead to conflicts with humans when hungry bears seek out new sources of food in unfamiliar places. What's worse, they might not find much sustenance in their new surroundings. Black bears generally stick to familiar feeding grounds, but if those are destroyed by fire, they have to waste time and energy looking for something else to eat. If the fires keep burning, the cubs born that year might not make it. Adults are more likely to survive by slowing down their metabolism and sleeping through the winter without eating. In fact, researchers have documented several instances of brown bears surviving 2 years without food, subsisting only on fat reserves while searching for berries and plants to munch on. It's not easy, but some bears manage to pull through. Those that do survive are better off than their fellow species members who stick it out in the burn zone. A study conducted in Yellowstone National Park found that bears living in recently burned areas spent less time eating and more time looking for food. And as any bear parent knows, time is precious when you've got cubs to feed. So the decision to stay or go is a tough one, but generally speaking, bears that leave the burn zone fare better than those that stay behind. Since the wildfires of the early 1980s, black bears have actually expanded their range northward into Canada, likely in search of new habitat in previously unoccupied areas. They can weigh over 88 pounds and stand nearly 6 feet tall on their hind legs. But what makes them special for our story today isn't their size, it's their ability to survive bushfires. When wildfires do come through their habitat, red kangaroos don't run away from the danger. Instead, they stay put, huddling together in groups and waiting for the fires to pass. That is unless there's water around. In that case, they'll try to swim to safety. Once the water runs out, though, they jump into the flames, rolling around in the fire to cover themselves in protective ash. Their thick fur protects their bodies from getting burned. And the ash helps prevent deadly cases of sunburn while also acting as a sort of sunscreen against the heat. Once the fires pass, red kangaroos are safe, healthy, and ready to hop back home. After all, bushfires are part of the Australian ecosystem. Red kangaroos know that they're better equipped to deal with them than, say, a koala. So, they'll quickly return to their home ranges, finding plenty of food left behind by the fires. The increased growth that follows a bushfire means lots of green, leafy vegetation and tender shoots for the kangaroos to eat. Plus, since predators like dingoes and eagles suffered losses during the fire, there's less competition for the kangaroos once they get back. Although if the fires are too intense and too widespread, red kangaroos can still suffer population declines. When conditions are right, though, kangaroos can rebound quickly after a fire. One study found that 6 months after a fire, the number of red kangaroos was already double what it had been before. It is thanks to their incredible resilience in the face of fire that red kangaroos can still thrive in a country where bushfires are becoming more frequent and more severe. Chapter 2: Crocodiles and Floodplains. The American alligator has a powerful bite and an even stronger claim to being a true survivor. Chapter 3: Bears and Forest Fires. When a forest fire hits, bears are usually the first to flee. Chapter 4: Bees and Drought. In recent years, bees have gotten a lot of press for their perilous journey towards extinction. While some animals like crocodiles seem to be doing all right in the face of climate extremes, it's important to remember that even they're facing threats from rising temperatures and changing rainfall patterns. If you liked learning about these resilient critters, you can learn more about animals around the world by visiting our site.